I created a video for YouTube earlier. I'm not going to put every video on TikTok anymore, so that's not the case. I kept creating samples, like little tiny snippets, but I've decided I'm not even going to keep doing that anymore. Um, I'm just going to create the content there. Like I've said, YouTube's the priority. So sometimes there'll be something coming on TikTok, but if I create something on YouTube, it ain't definitely going to be heard or seen on TikTok. I'm not going to keep double posting like that. So the one where I did it was family drama and video diary family drama. And it's really about the internal sort of conflict of the family at the moment, especially amongst me and my siblings. And, I like rent free in their head, but they take snippets of what you say or periods of time and try to form it as a narrative to use against you. Um, but like I've said so many times, I've set a boundary with these people. I just don't care. They're like soap opera. That's all they are. They live their life based on that. It's pathetic, and it's like I'm not like you people. You do what you want. Um, but what the difference between me and them in a huge way, like a huge way, is I don't say things behind people's back that I wouldn't say to their face. So if I say something behind someone's back, there's a good chance I'm going to say it to them when I see them as well. That's the difference between other people and me. I'm very blunt. I don't like that shit where people talk behind your back. I think it's just toxic as shit and weak, very weak. So for instance, if we just talk about my sisters in general, both sides of a coin, but neither any better than the other. One's like I said, like a soap opera EastEnders, and the other is postures, like they're wealthy or something, and that's just what it's like. And they don't like hearing it, by the sounds of things, and it triggers them. But the reality is, you gotta be realistic with yourself. Like, how do you live your life, and all these things, It's like for each their own. It's not for me to say that's bad or good. It's like you do you, I do me. It's fine. Um, but the reality is, it's quite funny because it's like it's come to my attention that someone screenshotted something from one of my books and shown it to someone else. And it's like, look, I don't even care because if I didn't mean it, I wouldn't say it. So if I've said it, I meant it. Uh, the other side to that as well is that people need to realize is I don't really do things to be confrontational or controversial. But if something means enough to me and it's grabbed my attention, then I will go with it. So, for instance, I was in the process of doing a father's daughter, the third book in that series, and I've done half of that book, but I just stopped doing it because I didn't have the interest in it. It doesn't. I'm not sure it's worth the. It's a personal story, so it's like, do I really want to tell it? And it's like, so I've not finished it, but I have other books in development, and this little mini situation here, I think people can learn from. So what that means is, this is what people don't realize is, a lot of time the fuel they put in my life and the chaos they try to cause, it creates a narrative. It creates a piece for me to talk about. So maybe they hear or read something that maybe I've said and done or written in a book, and maybe they don't like it. Maybe it bothers them, but they create a lot of drama around it. So maybe they feature in the next book then. And that's how it works. It'll piss people off, but it's like, you know what? I do it because it'll help people. On the negative side of that, it stays throughout history. So the reality is, those who have a problem with me, just walk away. Just walk away. Walk away and you never hear from me again. Keep poking the bear and you hear what I've got to say and you won't like it. And that's the thing, because I'll say it directly. I'll put it in print. I'll speak about it on camera. I try not to say names where I can, but piss me off enough and then names start getting spread. Then I'll start speaking names, start speaking facts. Because like I said, those in my family, for instance, they'll talk and bicker behind the scenes, but to their face, they'll act all smiley. So, for instance, my benefits sister, the one that's had her entire life on benefits, she's doing a little bit more lately, but that was after I had an argument with her, telling her she's absolutely lazy, doing absolutely nothing, and it apparently really pissed her off. But then she started getting off her ass and actually doing something. And it's like, well, I think I actually taught you something there, didn't I? I won't get recognition of it, but you was doing absolutely nothing before that conversation, wasn't it? So my other sister, who has more money, or maybe has debts, but potentially she's got more money because she's got a higher living lifestyle, but it costs more. Let's not go too deep with that. She would say negative things about my other sister. She would say it's not fair that I'm working or I'm doing this and we haven't do that, and then they're just getting everything for nothing. You know, and there's like this lack of respect for each other. But I don't know if they say it to each other. You know, I don't think they do. And then by extension, my sister doesn't have as much money, but she's got benefits. She will make comments like, the other one thinks she's better than us. You know, she doesn't like spending time with us people, us that don't have money. All these sort of things. But yet, when there's a common enemy, in this sense, it's me. It's like now all of a sudden, anything I say is in the spotlight, but not how they treat each other isn't. We'll forget that. And like I say, I just find it all humorous. I'm like, you lot are all just cretins. You're just all like fake as shit, and I don't deal with fake. So I can't do that shit that you do, where you like to smile in each other's faces and act like you're best friends now, but then you go and talk about them after. That's not for me. I don't like that shit. So the good thing is you get transparency. So with me, you get to hear what I think. So if I hear about something, I may talk upon it, and at least then you get to hear exactly what I think about it, rather than maybe hearsay from someone else. The other side of that, of course, is this is where I find it funny because again, I just don't care what people think of me. But I have no doubt that if people were to read my books alone, my personality shines through with that. You'll get a real impression of me, even if you went in with like the worst of intentions. You'll come away knowing how my mind thinks, my perspective of life, how the expectations I have of people, and the standards I set. You'll know those things. So someone could send someone my way, for instance, and go, "Look, I'll read their book. I'll read their book, see what's in it." I don't. I think majority of people that would walk away thinking this guy ain't so bad at all, and then they start looking at the person who sent them and say, "What's your agenda?" And then maybe start shining a light on the fact that they're the corrupt ones. I don't even have to say it. It is what it is, you know. It's like don't poke the bear because your lies will get brought to the surface. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to say too much because there's certain information I'm not supposed to know, but I do know. And the depths of people's perfectness, it holds no bounds. It's because what it is, when people are struggling at the bottom or they feel like slanted by someone, they don't like to feel that on their own. They're insecure. So they need others to feel that way too. And now it's like a common goal and a common thing. But the reality is some people can deal with stress and some people can't. Some people can deal with conflict, some people can't. And I haven't said anything. Is it like, for instance, if it's in my book, it's in my book. You know, I haven't had to extend it further. It's almost like a given. But if you don't like hearing it, I'm not gonna say things to make someone's cry for no reason, am I? So I don't play pretend too much though. Do you know what I mean? So I don't really do that shit where we act like we're all best friends now and all this shit. But I don't always have to say to someone you're an asshole. You know, it's just been given by the fact that I'm a bit more distant. And if I'm challenged and someone asks me directly, I'll say what I think. It's if you need to know and you must know, I'll tell you. For instance, as a family member, apparently, it's in the book, and I've said about certain people, and it's taken out of context because it's only going to be it's only going to be a screenshot, isn't it? So it's not going to say the whole fabric of what I said. And I can't remember which book's which in terms of what I've said because I've done a few now. But there's a family member who I think's great with their child, and I think they've always been great with them, and I've said that in the book. But there's also another side to them where I think personally, because I see through people so quickly, it's ridiculous. I see through their insecurities. And if we're going to say someone, I'm not going to say their name, but let's say someone in the family knows who I'm talking about based on what I'm saying, then does that not mean that's true? You know, just because I say it and it might upset people, it doesn't mean it's not true, though, does it? That's the thing. I speak facts. I speak truth. And again, people don't like the truth. They want to hear that they're princess. I want to be princess. Well, they act like a fucking princess. They act like a pig. Again, let's do this shit. So this is a male person now rather than a female. So let's not pick at females. And let's do this. And they're great with their children. And make them the priority. They work their ass to death to feed a lifestyle and a habit of their partner who has no spending control. So their life is a little more stressful than it should be, and they're having to work ridiculous hours just to sustain it as they cling to what they got. And if you can't control your partner's spending and you don't set rules with that, you know, because you can't have that running out of control, it's a disrespect. If you're having to work yourself to death because the person can't control themselves, so what level of love does that display to you? So to put up with that tells me that someone has an insecurity within themselves, that they either don't feel attractive enough or worthy enough that they would meet someone else if that relationship failed. On the other side of that, maybe they don't want to break the family home because of the child. So yeah, okay, there's swings and roundabouts with that. But overall, I'd say there's an insecurity for sure with that. That if you put your foot down too much, that person may leave because that person really has a high attachment to wealth, shall we say? They couldn't live struggling. It couldn't. They'd have to leave, which is what my other sister's already said about that person, but she probably doesn't say it to her face. Yeah, that's true. That's what we've all experienced. That's true. Um, Also, this person likes to have a reputation as helping people. So being like someone the handyman, the one that can do everything. Some people like that. It means something to them to have status. But when they go home, they moan behind everybody's back. They moan that they're needed. So they do it out of like an obligation for their own ego to an extent. But they also maybe they want to help. But then it's like, but then you annoyed you're helping. It's like that goes around in circles too. And that's just one person. Now, maybe I featured that in my book. Maybe I've said something similar within the book. Is that too bad? I'm talking about people's personalities. And when I draw upon experience within my own life and I'm able to explain the inadequacies in people and the way they should find their strength and things, I'm going to draw upon experience. And experience is going to be my first hand encounters, but also the observations I have of those around me. So my wealth of knowledge comes from these dysfunctional people. And they might not like being the center of that dysfunction, but they're the ones that are like that. And it's like, the only way you're going to heal is to actually self-reflect. And I'm doing the reflecting for them. But like I say, you keep podding and probing. I could just as well continue writing because it actually fuels me. Like, so I go through periods, like I said earlier, recently, that I've took a little bit of a break because I released my previous book in August. I've got another one, like my spiritual one, coming out next. But I could eat it once I get in the flow, it'll flow. And it's like you're stirring the emotions here. So it actually makes me want to sit down and write. And it's like you don't want to go there. You do not want to go there because it's immortalized. And that's what people don't realize. Like, for instance, everything I say is true, and every timeline of event happened. So let's say I wrote something and it was 2 or 3 years ago. Let's say it happened. And then let's say 2 or 3 years later, you've sort of made peace in some way and you're getting on. That doesn't change what happened then, though. It's not for me to rewrite history. So if someone doesn't like that you even printed it, let alone said it, it's like, well, you did it. That's what happened at that moment of my life. I'm here to share my story. So yeah, it's not, can't sort of hide and pretend you're perfect. None of us are perfect. I've even said it in my book. I've even got a book called I can't remember what it's called it now, but there's a chapter about me. There have been chapters about other people in my father's daughter series. And I thought, okay, I'll do one about me. And you can see in there that I am quite confrontational. I do have a um, sort of confrontational streak. You'll see that in that bleeding chapter. I've had people try and use that against me. Look, they're unhinged because they said that. It's like, no, I'm just transparent. If you don't think you've got a temper at any point and you can't behave that way, and then you're just fake as shit. And especially those people that end up being the ones accusing me because they're far worse than I am, and I know they are. And it's like that. It's delusion at its best. But that's what people do. They put the rose tinted glasses on and they act like they're perfect. And then when they get told they're not, they don't like it. And it's simple as that. So like I've done with a lot of my family. They've had long enough. Um, so for instance, one of my sisters, they did help me move when I relocated 4 or 5 years ago, and I appreciate that. And it was nice. Like, that was really nice of them to take the time out. But their help only went to a point. They only drove with me and helped unload some of the furniture with me. Like, it was nice to do that, but they didn't help in any way towards the costs of hiring the van. They didn't help with the fuel. I had to pay it all back, pay it to them. And I was the one in poverty, and they were the one that had money. Wouldn't it be nice? Like, I'm not saying I'm not grateful for the help, but they could have helped far more than that if they genuinely cared. Again, it's all this. It's always. It's again. It comes back to this. All about the keeping up appearances. They want to show that they care, and it's like at first you're like, "Oh, that's really nice of them," and as time goes on, you go, "Wait a minute, this is all just part of their plot to seem like they're great." They didn't actually. When you break it down, like if you genuinely helped and cared, wouldn't you help on other levels if you've got a means? Like, I'm not asking people to give me handouts, but at the same time, it's like a little bit of help when you knew I was really struggling. I've had to sort of pay the deposit and get in the house. I've had to pay all these costs and stuff, and everything's mounting, and I live alone. So that's a lot for a single person to handle, and it's like I'm getting on with it and I made the move happen. And I was struggling like shit after that. I have my other sister, one of benefits. I'm going in the shop and I'm having to buy paint. I couldn't afford it all. And I'm like, I don't know what paintbrushes to get. I wasn't hinting. I was just trying to figure it based on a budget. I don't have a lot of money. I can't do it all at once. And she's like, well, just get all of it. It's like, you live in delusion, mate. You've got a partner who has plenty of money. That's what they're saying. They find attachments to people who have money, who can support their lifestyle. And then they lose sense of reality, what it's like to actually survive on your own. They don't have, none of them have that. They don't have it and they can't cope. And that's the reality. So a big part of my problem is I live alone and none of them check on me. And no point checking now. First of all, the conflict's extended, and second of all, it's like I don't deal with that shit. I check how people treat me early on, not when maybe they can gain something. But yeah, I live alone, and none of them check on me. So then, what the hell is that about? You know? And I was talking to my mum recently, and she said, "But you don't check on anyone else." I said, "I check on my brother. He lives alone." I said, "But I'm the one that's lived alone the longest." I said, "So I have my challenges to overcome all the time. It ain't easy." I said, I take the weight of that all the time, and I live the furthest from everybody. And it's not easy living like that. I said, but because I'm the strongest, everybody expects the most of me. So so then it's like, what the hell? I live alone and no one's checking. And I think that's disgusting because if anyone else lived alone, like they truly was alone, I would check on them. You know, and they never did. They never did. They just abandoned me. They helped me move to keep up appearances, and then I haven't seen them since. When at home, I've only bumped into them at my mum's home. They said they would travel up and see us and stuff, and it was like, oh, that'd be nice. Never ever once. Don't text message, don't phone me, don't do anything. And yeah, I'm supposed to act like them, like we're like glue, It's like no, we're not. No, we're not. Yeah, they had me on a shoestring for most of my life. That's what was happening. So like my posher sister, can you look after my nephew? Because what you do this, do this, do this. It's always like you're always on a shoestring. They're only available when they're bored or they've got nothing to do or they're alone that period. Let's say the husband's working or doing something. Now all of a sudden now they're available. Oh, we should go out. We should do this. So yeah, but you never really do. Only ever when it's convenient for you. It's just like nonsense, and I'm seeing it. And then I saw a disrespect of my daughter like a couple of years ago. She sent a message. She doesn't live with me, and the separation's really hard on her. So she sent a message just to say happy birthday or happy Christmas or something to people, and they didn't even answer her. And I thought, oh, you. Yeah, when it comes to her, like you can cross a line with me to an extent, but if you can challenge her, you're in a world of shit. Like I won't forgive. Like I will not forgive. When it comes to her, I hold a light on everybody, and I kid you not. If I see flaws, you're done. So, for instance, my benefit sister, we had an argument when we come back from holiday. She was really rude to my mum on the plane. She swore in front of everybody, and it was disgusting. She'll deny it now, but there's a few of us there. We know what happened. You can delude yourself all you like. And she got pissed off when I spoke about it publicly. And then in a private message, she went on a little rant. I didn't read it all. I got bored. I thought, I can't be asked to listen to your shit. But I picked up on a couple of bits. And it was the support I had when I was separated from my daughter and I had to go through family court. I was vulnerable. I was weak. I was very weak at that point. I was on my knees. I'm a strong character, but even that had me on my knees. You know what I mean? So when you hear people suicidal, it's like I get it. I know where you get to. I wasn't that point, but I understand. Life lost meaning at that point. And life gone. It's like my life is gone. Everything you built. I know. So and I always remember how it feels, and I know how hard every day is without my daughter home. And how hard it was fighting for clear my name in court because I was accused of all sorts of shit. It's like ridiculous, all just to fill a narrative so my daughter stays with the mother, And I was fighting that the whole way through. And our contact was getting started, stopped, restarted, stopped, and she's suffering in the middle of it. So for my sister to make a point to me that sort of leeching money off the mum, all sorts of things, and for that and this and that, and I thought you are a disgusting piece of shit. That's what I felt, and that's what I still feel today. I won't let it go. Even if they forget what they said, I never, ever forget what you said. Never, ever forget what you said. If that was the other way around and it was their kids, I'd expect the same done for them. And my stepdad, who died early on in that, so like, she was taken in April, actually, weirdly. April 2017. 27. Oh, the years fall into each other now. Yeah, April 2017. November, Halloween 2017, he passed away. before he passed away, like the months before, around about August and all this things, he could see the cost of mounting for court to get her home, and he said, "If you do, never give up, and make sure you get her home." So I could get emotional now, but I'm trying to be. I'm getting stronger, you know. And he said to sell the car. He had a nice Mercedes. He said sell the car to my mum. He didn't say it to me, but apparently told her there, and other people were present to fund the court and make sure you know. I could get emotional, but the reality is, without that, me and my daughter have a relationship now. You know, we see each other every holiday. We talk all the time. She messages me. She says, "Can we call?" I'll give up my whole day to talk to her all day on a live chat and things. And it hurts her to still be separated, you know. And even if her mother's calmed down a bit now, she wasn't calm then. She was an absolute nightmare, and she still has the potential today. This day, she still has the potential to be anything she chooses to be, you know. And I don't take anything lightly. I'm always ready to fight back when it's time. So you know, everything's unpredictable, and it's been that way since 7 or 8 years. So for my daughter to make, so for my sister to make a comment and point at it, it's like you're sick. Because without that support, I may not have the relationship I have with my daughter today. And although she's not living with me just yet, I can't imagine life without her. And I thought that was a low blow. Like, you are a piece of shit. And I'll say it publicly and I'll say it forever. You are an asshole for a human being. And I don't want you anywhere near me. So keep my name out of your mouth. I could swear a lot deeper, but I'm not going to. I just say, stay the hell away from me. Live your life away from me. Stop obsessing. Don't take screenshots of anything I do, you weird bastard. And just stay away from me. Because you mean nothing to me now. You're literally dead to me. That's what it is. And so people may think, oh, this guy's got arrogance. No, I've just got strong boundaries. I don't have disrespect in my life. You cross that line, you never get to come back across it. I don't care. Sorries don't mean nothing to me because I know what's in your heart. And I know when you say those things, you actually truly mean it deep down. Yeah. So there's no love there. There's no love within majority of my family. Just toxic drama.